Take a second and just look around you. The way you work, the things you buy, even the thoughts you consider your own. What if none of it was truly yours? In this explainer, we are deciphering the matrix. We're going to be diving into some highly compelling analysis from the Positive Vortex series to explore how invisible societal systems operate to limit our awareness. But more importantly, we're going to talk about how you can actually decipher and dismantle these hidden mechanisms in your own life. Okay, so we all like to think of ourselves as entirely independent thinkers, right? Completely in charge of our own destinies. But the source material asks us to consider a pretty radical premise. You are born free, but from the moment you enter this world, an invisible architecture starts subtly shaping your entire perception of reality. I mean, think about it. Have you ever had the sudden urge to buy a product you didn't even know existed until an algorithm slipped it right into your feed? Or what about the unquestioned assumption that success only looks like climbing a corporate ladder? Are those desires actually yours, or were they installed by a system functioning quietly in the background? To make sense of all this, we've structured this explainer into a clear roadmap. We'll start with the invisible code, move on to the tools of the matrix, then look at the illusion of identity, how the system adapts, and finally, reclaiming your sovereignty. All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the invisible code. So to really understand this abstract concept of a societal matrix, we have to realize we aren't talking about science fiction here. We aren't talking about binary computer code. This is the very real cultural architecture that surrounds us every single day. In this context, programming is simply the process of shaping your thoughts and beliefs to align with a system's agenda. It uses what you watch, what you're taught, and what society expects of you. Think about an economy that fundamentally requires endless consumption just to survive. To keep that engine running, the programming ensures you always feel just a little bit inadequate without the latest upgrade or the newest trend. It's designed to keep you endlessly distracted and disconnected from your true independent power. And the thing is, the system absolutely thrives on subtlety. The most effective programming is the kind you don't even realize is happening. Take limiting language, for instance. We hear phrases like "that's impossible" or "just be realistic" all the time. But those aren't just innocent expressions. They're verbal fences designed to reinforce powerlessness. Then you've got cultural rituals, like the endless loop of the 9-to-5 grind. This isn't just about economic productivity. It literally exhausts you. When you're perpetually drained, you just don't have the energy to step back and question the bigger picture. And finally, the system leverages stigmatization. Human evolutionary psychology naturally wires us to fear being cast out of the tribe. The system weaponizes that fear, making us value fitting in way more than discovering our authentic individuality. Moving right along, let's get into Section 2, Tools of the Matrix. The Matrix relies on a few key pillars to shape us, and it starts when we're very young. The source points out this really stark contrast between what school trains us to be versus the creative potential it naturally suppresses. Traditional schooling heavily rewards obedience. You're tested on your ability to memorize and repeat, not your capacity to question and innovate. Historically speaking, the modern education system was quite literally modeled after factories during the Industrial Revolution. The goal wasn't to create free thinkers. The goal was to create compliant, punctual workers who would sit in rows, follow instructions, and maintain the status quo. And in the process, our natural instinct for self-discovery gets deeply sacrificed. Then, as we move into adulthood, the media grabs the baton. Through sheer repetition across multiple channels, narratives are turned into absolute truth in our minds. It's fascinating how these tactics feed into each other. The 24/7 news cycle relies heavily on fear and division, which keeps your nervous system in a state of constant anxiety. When you're anxious, your vibration is lowered and you naturally look for comfort. Bam! That is exactly when relentless advertisements step in, pushing consumerism by convincing you that external things like a new car or a better phone will bring you that missing joy. Meanwhile, movies and television are busy establishing the boundaries of what's acceptable and normal. It's a completely cohesive ecosystem. The news makes you afraid, the ads sell you the cure, and entertainment normalizes the whole shebang. And now, technology takes this control and puts it on absolute steroids. Algorithms curate everything you see, creating these incredibly tight echo chambers that just endlessly repeat and validate your existing beliefs. This doesn't just program you, it isolates you. It ensures you rarely encounter disruptive perspectives or realize that, hey, maybe other people are waking up to this system too. Alongside this, you have constant surveillance tracking your data and your vulnerabilities just to sell you products more effectively.
Throw artificial intelligence into the mix, which is increasingly deployed to manipulate behavior and shape public opinion on a massive scale, and you can see how the digital world isn't just reflecting societal programming, it's a hyper-efficient amplification of it. Now, here's where it gets really clever. The system is incredibly adept at tricking us into feeling free by giving us options. You walk down the grocery aisle and see endless brands, or you look at the ballot box and see opposing political parties. It gives us this comforting illusion that we're in the driver's seat. But choosing within a predetermined framework isn't true freedom. If every available option ultimately funnels back into the exact same system, one that consistently prioritizes profit and control over your individual purpose, are you actually choosing anything at all? If every single path leads to the exact same destination, are you really navigating, or are you just a passenger? I absolutely love this quote. The greatest breakthroughs in history have come from people who broke the rules. Social pressure is a highly effective tool to maintain the status quo, but historically, true progress never comes from conformity. Think of disruptive innovators like Nikola Tesla or civil rights leaders who looked at the legal and social programming of their time and flatly refused to accept it. They stepped completely outside of the expected, acceptable choices laid out for them. That willingness to endure the friction of breaking the rules is quite literally the only way humanity evolves. All right, let's pivot to Section 3, the illusion of identity. This is where the programming gets deeply personal because it weaponizes the very concept of who you think you are. The system desperately wants you to believe you are your labels, your job title, your social class, your nationality. But tying your self-worth to a job title is incredibly dangerous because the Matrix can take that away at any moment, leaving you totally lost. These imposed identities keep you hyper-focused on achieving the system's very narrow version of success. But the source material describes your true self as infinite awareness, simply experiencing life temporarily through a human form. Think about the profound psychological relief in that. The second you begin to detach from those heavy, imposed external labels, the system instantly begins to lose its grip on you. And here is the Matrix's greatest trick. Eventually, it doesn't even need to actively control you. Once these external rules are internalized, the programming goes on autopilot. It becomes entirely self-sustaining. Society heavily rewards those who conform, which creates intense peer pressure. In our modern digital life, social media acts as the ultimate peer pressure engine. We constantly surveil each other, and more importantly, we self-censor because we're afraid of stepping out of line and facing the judgment of the digital mob. We become so terrified of ridicule that we end up doing the Matrix's job for it, enforcing its unspoken rules on ourselves and everyone around us. Let's move on to Section 4, how this system adapts. You see, the Matrix is not static, it's highly reactive. It actually fights back when you start waking up. As people resist, the system evolves. This adaptability requires constant vigilance from us, because what starts as authentic resistance is so often repackaged and sold right back to us. Take grassroots movements, for example. A radical counterculture movement emerges, challenging the status quo. Within months, the system absorbs it, dilutes the message, and suddenly that rebellion is a mass-produced graphic t-shirt sold by a massive corporation. It hijacks our tech to keep us locked in echo chambers. It even infiltrates our inner world, taking a profound concept like self-care and twisting it from true mental health preservation into just another marketing excuse to buy expensive bath bombs. The Matrix thrives on turning our awakening into just another product. Which brings us to our final and most important section, reclaiming your sovereignty. Recognizing the programming is only half the battle. Now, we need an actionable roadmap for your own life. So here is your practical guide to stepping outside the system. Step 1. You have to consciously deconstruct your beliefs. When you hold a strong opinion, just pause and ask yourself, who actually benefits from me believing this? A lot of times, it's not you. Step 2. Challenge societal norms. Step outside the status quo in small ways. Disrupt your routine, say no to an expected obligation, and just see what happens. Step 3. Fiercely reclaim your attention. Put down the phone, turn off the endless news cycle, and decide exactly where your mental energy is going today. Step 4. Embrace your authentic uniqueness. Value what makes you different over the safety of fitting in. Step 5. Actively raise your frequency. Shift your daily mindset from scarcity and fear to profound gratitude. That alone makes you incredibly resilient to fear-based media. And finally, Step 6. Foster genuine connection. Build communities based on shared values rather than Matrix-imposed labels. Step by step, this is how you unplug. When one person escapes the Matrix, they create a ripple effect. I want you to remember this. Your personal journey of awakening is not a selfish act. It is a profound service to others. The source emphasizes that awakening is deeply contagious. When you choose to live authentically and stop playing by the invisible rules, you become a literal beacon of light. Your mere existence naturally dismantles the fear in others. By deprogramming yourself, you weaken the system's hold on everyone else, and you inspire them to find their own exit.
The system is only going to continue to reinforce its programming as long as they passively allow it to exist in the background. But the very moment you start questioning and challenging it, the entire architecture begins to crumble. The choice of how you live from this moment forward is entirely yours. So I'll leave you with this. Will you remain a passive participant, or will you rewrite the narrative?